Hi, my name is Ella Arbeiter. I'm a student and swimmer at the University of Rhode Island, and today I'm going to be talking about toxic microplastics, the invasive pollution around us. My purpose of giving this speech is to inform all of you about the sources, environmental effects, and potential health risks of toxic microplastics. You might be asking yourself, why is an athlete talking about this? You work out, you do all of the things, and you nourish your body to be able to perform well. But there's so much more than that, beyond sleep, beyond everything. It goes into the kind of clothes that we're wearing, the Tupperware, what we're using to cook our meals, because microplastics are in everything and they're affecting everyday health. Toxic microplastics have become a global and environmental problem because they are created through everyday activities, spread throughout ecosystems, and they may threaten the human health. And in my opinion, which I will state later, I believe that they do. Researchers estimate that the average person may consume thousands of microplastic particles each year through food, water, and air. So literally everything. Because everyone uses plastic products daily, microplastic pollution directly affects our lives. My information comes from scientific research published by Environment and Health Organization. Toxic microplastics have global environmental problems because they are created through everyday activities spread throughout ecosystems that threaten the human health. They also threaten animal health. They threaten every living organism, Earth alone. They threaten the health of the Earth. But they also threaten human, and that is directed because that is who you're receiving my information. First, I will explain what microplastics are and where they come from. Next, I will discuss their environmental impacts. And finally, I will examine concerns regarding human health that are from scientific resources, as well as my own opinion, which I will differ and state at different times. Microplastics are plastic particles smaller than 5 millimeters that enter the environment through multiple pathways. So if you take your fingers and you press them and you apply maximum pressure, the particles are smaller than that. Yeah, and yes, they have a big impact. Primarily, microplastics are unintentionally manufactured in small size for commercial applications. Secondary, microplastics result from the breakdown of larger plastics products through weathering and use, according to the NOAA. Everyday human activities contribute significantly to the microplastic pollution. Synthetic clothing shed plastic fibers during laundering, meaning that everything that you're wearing is contaminated with microplastics, even if it was somehow made completely clean from 100% cotton and done all the right things. From your washing machine alone, just washing it, you're contaminating it in a sense. Tire abbreviation releases particles onto the road into waterways. So all of the commuters that go to URI, every time that you get on the bus at URI to take it up that awful hill, you're contributing in a sense to tire abbreviation, which is putting microplastics in our environment. Discarded plastic waste gradually fragments into smaller pieces. So everything that we've learned about recycling is also putting plastic back into our environment. After understanding how microplastics are created, it is important to examine where they end up. Microplastics contain nearly every major ecosystem on Earth. Scientists have found them in oceans, freshwater system, agricultural soils, and atmosphere. So everything that goes into not just our daily lives, but if you extend it, everything that's used to grow all of our food, to grow everything that we use that goes into everything that has to do with our daily lives, our clothes, how cars, oil, everything. Wildlife frequently consumes microplastics as well, which is affecting their feeding and their reproductive systems of all of the animals that call Earth home. These particles move throughout food chains and accumulate throughout ecosystems. It can be seen for generations from now, even if we somehow cleansed microplastics from our lives completely. Environmental contamination also raises concern about human exposure, which is very important to us. Researchers suggest microplastics may pose risk to human health. Scientists have identified microplastics in human blood, lung tissue, and placenta tissue. So that means from birth, pre-birth, you are being exposed to these microplastics immediately upon conception. Let that sit with you for a second. Before you even have the opportunity to choose how will plastics be involved in my life, you are already exposed to it from the moment you start growing. Today we learned what microplastics are in, yes, but we also learned a little bit about why that they're there. They're there because everything that we do has something to do with them, because big corporate has decided plastic is the cheapest and the current plastics they're using is what they're going to put in everything because it's the cheapest, most efficient way to get it to us. So what can we do? We can research non-tox lifestyles, we can research non-tox diets, and we can start cleansing our lives as a whole. But this can't just be an individual thing, this has to be a movement as a population. Toxic microplastics represent a growing challenge because they are widespread, they are persistent, and they are difficult to eliminate. Understanding these issues is the first step towards reducing plastic pollution and protecting the environment and human health. Everything that I have cited today is from the National Ocean and Atmosphere Administration, What Are Microplastics, in 2024, the United Nations Environmental Program, Turning Up the Tap, How the World Can End Plastic Pollution, and the World Health Organization 2022, Microplastics in Drinking Water, Research and Knowledge Gaps. I chose these sources not because they're not relevant and they're not up to date, but because they are well researched and they are not just pumped up that has to do with the trend of the non-toxic lifestyle currently, which everyone should look into. Thank you.